What's going on? Let's talk about Pioneer Carry's duration pack. I did a video pretty recently talking about their Panda Pack 2.0, my favorite bag, period. Was definitely very curious to check out their smaller, more minimal, and slightly less feature-rich version of the Panda Pack. Been using it for the last 2-3 weeks, almost every single day. So I'll share my overall thoughts on it, focusing on what I like the most about it, some nitpicks that I have with it. I'll compare it against both the Panda Pack as well as their Savant, make some recommendations on which bag is gonna suit your specific needs best, walk you through it, and then lastly, I'll share who this bag is ultimately designed for and who's gonna get the most value out of it. So let's get into it. Given the fact that this bag is in many ways a mini Panda, it shares a lot of the DNA with the Panda Pack. The three things that stand out to me the most about this bag are also the same things that I love about the Panda Pack, and that is the overall look, even though it's a different look for sure on the duration pack. Secondly are these fantastic front quick access pockets, and then lastly, the fact that they're using these refined, luxurious yet super rugged materials that they have designed in-house, and you can't get them in any other bag outside of Pioneer Carry's selection. Starting off with the look, if you compare it to the Panda Pack, I find that the Panda Pack is a little bit more in the middle of luxury and rugged, and one of the reasons why I really like it, I'm sure psychologically the fact that it comes in this wonderful forest green color is contributing to some of that rugged aspect. But the duration pack is doing more with less. You don't get external water bottle pockets. The cargo pockets are slimmer, more tapered, and also it's just a quick horizontal zip, so it just looks classier. And it is slimmer and more compact. So in my opinion, this is a bag that truly thrives in a more executive, business-like setting. If you're wearing a suit or smart casual attire, this bag is gonna blend in really nicely in that setting. Second thing I love are the quick access pockets. These are a defining feature in both the Panda Pack as well as the duration. One of the reasons why I prefer the duration over the Savant is not only the functionality that comes with these pockets, but the fact that it just gives it a little bit more of a unique look. And what I like is that in most bags, when you have quick access pockets in the front, they typically share that space with the main compartment. So the tighter the main compartment gets, the tighter and less usable these pockets are. But here they have good independent volume. In the top, this is a good place for me for sunglasses, quick access, and then maybe AirPods, not a lot else, because I don't want my sunglasses jumbling around with other things, especially given the fact that I don't keep them in a protective case. And then here in the bottom, this is a fantastic place for a tech pouch, because this is a bag that doesn't offer a ton of quick access organization for smaller things. If you want those things segmented in their own perfect compartment, this is a bag that pairs well, and I almost want to say is designed for people that carry a tech pouch. This is their global pouch in the regular size. It's fantastic. It uses, in this black variant, their 10XD material, which is an in-house blend of like a high tenacity nylon and another material that's gone through similar processes as an X-Pack or an Ultra or a Dyneema. TLDR is it's very lightweight, it's crazy strong and weather resistant, and it feels really nice to the touch. This global access pouch and this bag were designed keeping one and the other in consideration, so it fits like a glove in here. I'll show you in the walkthrough other tech pouches that also fit there, but if you're like, hey, I want to use a tech pouch that's going to fit perfectly in there that I can easily access, this is a good option. Also has like a little bit of padding in between the actual fabric, so it has like a plush factor to it, which I really like. And then it's pretty simple in terms of organization. You get 4 sleeves here using their 10XD material. Just keep in mind, it's not stretch mesh. So one downside of that is that things are either going to fit really perfectly or they're going to be kind of loose and can slide out. But on the flip side, this is going to be a lot more durable than something like stretch mesh. And then here in the middle, you have kind of like a partition with a zippered pocket. So if you want to throw cables or smaller things that you want to keep secure in there, that's a perfect place for them. The liner is black. It looks badass, but you just don't get good visibility into what's in there, which for a tech pouch is super important. Another cool thing about this pocket is that you can fit bulkier things like the AirPod Maxes. So they don't fit as seamlessly as they do in the Panda Pack, in the sense that you just have to like get the flap and put it on top. But once you zip it, like they're not tight in there either. It's just kind of like one more thing that you need to do, but I would still totally keep those in there. I hate having to keep over the ear headphones in a main compartment. So, and then the last thing that I really like about this bag, and I think it's something that if you don't value, then a little less of a reason to go with Pioneer Carry and spend a little bit of extra money, because this bag is $329. Definitely in the upper price range for a compact EDC bag. Although relative to Toomey or Briggs & Riley, it comes at a much more accessible price point. And this is an aesthetic that I haven't really found too many bags that are in the $200 price point where you're getting something that looks like this. But yeah, material wise, their Mandarin 840D ballistic nylon has a more sophisticated weave. I think for most people, just a standard Cordura is gonna be great, but I think this helps elevate the overall refined, luxurious look and feel of this bag. And this is something that you can only get in Pioneer Carry's lineup because they're the ones that developed this variant of ballistic nylon. If you look at a lot of the more accessibly priced, still premium bags like Air, they're using Cordura branded ballistic nylon, which also feels very good, but I personally like the feel of this better. And then in the liner material, I want to say this is their 3XD. So similar to the Global Access pouch, which also comes in 3XD variants, depending on the color that you get. But I mean, this is maybe my favorite liner material so far. And one of the big reasons why I love the Panda Pack so much. You get it there and you also get it in the main compartment as well. Incredibly premium feeling and looking material. And then as far as my nitpicks go, it is the fact that they used only a single zipper head for the dedicated laptop compartment. Secondly, and this is very much a preference thing, but just no water bottle holder, external or internal. And then just lastly, the fact that they're using an awesome but pretty dark color liner on the inside of the bag. And here's why. So for the dedicated laptop compartment, it starts here, so pretty far into the bag. If you want to put your laptop in here, you have to go like quite a distance just to open it. This is something that they fixed with the Panda Pack. I assume with the future iteration of the Duration, they'll also include a second zipper head. I know it might seem trivial, but having two where you can just do a quick unzip on either side where you don't have to go this far out makes it that much more accessible for you to get in and out of your laptop compartment. If you look at the Panda Pack, they start here. So literally, if you compare, I know it's a little taller, but starts significantly higher, and then you've got two. So really, even when you have just one, you don't have to go as far. Technically, they could solve for this, not even with an additional zipper head. It's just having it so that it doesn't go all the way here, because you're kind of committing to just having to do more zipping and unzipping than you would want to. And then just speaking of single zipper heads, keep in mind that you only have a single zipper head on these. I get it. Like for me, it's not a big deal just because this is a bag that is trying to do more with less. It's all about minimalism. And especially considering the fact that these are horizontal zips, it's really not that big of a deal to do that. I know a lot of people would rather have an additional zipper on these, but for me, if anything, that would be a little bit more valuable on the Panda Pack, given the fact that the zippers are, you know, it's more of like a curved experience, but it's hard to explain. Technically, these zippers should be harder to zip and unzip because yeah, there's that trapezoidal thing going on. And it's not that these are necessarily easier, but these are just more satisfying to zip and unzip. In terms of Pilgrim churned butter, zipper smoothness rating, I give this bag like a 9.2, which is fantastic. I think really what's detracting from anything higher is the fact that they are doing this like really long dedicated laptop compartment with only one zipper head. And these are fine, but they just don't generate as much dopamine as the zippers on the Panda Pack for me. Second nitpick is the fact that it doesn't have a water bottle holder anywhere. I totally get that they're trying to keep this thing super minimal and compact, and oftentimes having a water bottle holder detracts from that, especially if you're using this in a more executive setting. But I find that for most people, including myself, maybe like 70% of people would opt for having a dedicated place for their water bottle. So even if they wanted to keep that internal so that it's not detracting from what the bag looks like, or just creating some sort of segmented sleeve structure here so you can still put in your main compartment, but when it's not completely packed, you don't have to worry about it just moving around in here, the thought of it potentially leaking, things like that. I bring it up especially because if you're looking for a more EDC friendly compact size within the Pioneer Carry lineup, you're really looking at the Duration or the Savant. This one's 18 liters, the Savant is 20 liters, but you don't get water bottle holders in either of them. I think given the fact that you have these tapered cargo pockets on the Duration Pack, it would make sense to have that functionality. So anyone that wants a more compact size bag within Pioneer Carry, I think one of the two bags should offer that water bottle holder functionality. And it helps create a little bit more differentiation within their product line, because 18 and 20 liters, that's a pretty small difference between the two. And then my last nitpick, this is something that at first I really liked, but just genuinely the more I used it, the more I wish they used something a little lighter. But the liner fabric color is this beautiful slate, like bluish grayish color. I'm very tired of just the same high-vis gray liner color in all bags. So for me, it's a huge plus when bag brands are getting a little creative and giving you something different. But I have found that it's like just pretty dark from a functionality standpoint. Like right now I have a light pointing at this so you can see it more clearly, but you just don't get good visibility into the bag. So that's in the front pockets. And then if you look at the main compartment, this whole entire front panel area is black. And then here it's that slate gray. I think using really the same color, but in a slightly lighter shade, and also incorporating that here, as well as in the dedicated laptop compartment, which is all black, would really, really help out. And I think also having the Panda Pack for comparison, where they're using this awesome safari brown, which is still, I would say, not a super light color, but you get significantly better visibility into the bag, whether it's using the same exact color with this one or offering the forest green variant in the Duration Pack with this version, and then yeah, lightening it up on this side. Now, if you are trying to decide between this, the Savant, and their Panda Pack, a few considerations. I think if you're looking at this one and the Savant, 18 liters, 20 liters for the Savant, they both cost $329. That's probably the trickier decision. If you're looking for something that is compact for everyday carry, you're gonna be using it in a nicer office setting. When you travel with it, you're definitely planning on pairing it with a carry-on suitcase or a duffel, and you have no intentions of ever one-bagging it. You're typically just carrying tech essentials plus a few additional things just for yourself, then either of those two bags is gonna work great. Personally, I prefer the aesthetic of the Duration Pack in the sense that the Savant is even more minimal in the sense that you don't get these two zippered pockets. But at that point, I feel like there's more bags out there that look like the Savant Pack, versus the duration pack. Secondly, one of the things I really like about Pioneer Carry are these front stash pockets. They're very, very practical, but I do find that if you like to stay organized, you really only get externally these two pockets, and they're essentially big open spaces. In the bottom one, you get an additional sleeve on the duration pack that you can slide things behind it and then put bulkier things in front of it. But this is a bag really that is optimally paired for people that use a tech pouch. If you want easy access to your tech pouch, this works really, really well. You can fit the Air Slim pouch, the Peak Design Tech Pouch Small, the Evergoods Cap 1, or their own, obviously, global access pouch in here. Whereas I think for people that like to be very organized, have a dedicated place for all of their things, but within their bag, not within a tech pouch, then the Savant is definitely the better option, in my opinion, in the sense that you get just one front admin panel and there's more separate segmented compartments and sleeves for you to organize your smaller things. In addition to that, in the main compartment, you only get one zippered compartment here, which I think for me is more than enough. Typically bags have two, including the Panda Pack as well as the Savant. For me, the bottom zippered compartment on the Panda Pack or the Savant is a place for things that I'm rarely gonna need to access. I get that they only gave you one in the duration and two in the Savant, maybe just to create a little differentiation. One thing I would have liked, because it was very cleverly executed on the Panda Pack, is the fact that when you open the main compartment, you get two of these. Again, the bottom one is not as big of a deal, but the top one starts like higher up. I would like to have this a little bit higher up, but in addition to it, they have like a sleeve behind it where not only can you store things that you want access to, but it serves as essentially a quick access pocket in the sense that you just open a little bit of it in the main compartment and then it feeds right into the main compartment and you can snag things. So incorporating that in the duration pack would have been sweet. And then if you're deciding between all three, where you still are considering the Panda Pack, the Panda Pack is bigger. It's 25 liters compared to the 20-liter Savant and the 18-liter duration pack. While yes, it is a little bulkier and maybe slightly overkill for everyday carry, I think if you have a larger frame, this might look a little too small on you, where this will suit your proportions better. But beyond that, the reason why this remains my favorite bag in their lineup is you have these pockets that you can use for an external water bottle holder, which is one of the reasons why I use them, and just having an extra one to use for something else. And then the pockets here, given the fact that they aren't horizontal zips, I feel like it's just a lot more comfortable getting into them. These are still like have great volume, but you just don't have as good of visibility as to what's in there. And you're interacting with the zipper a bit more. Like here, you like don't really touch zipper when you're getting into it. This bottom one is super spacious. You get it in this awesome forest green color with a safari brown interior. And then since I'm very often carrying for myself, plus the kids, just having a little additional volume is helpful. And I do like that you just get like even more organization without it being overkill. And this top like dual sleeve / quick access pocket is surprisingly functional, and I end up using it quite a bit. So TLDR, if you want just a single bag to do everything for you, you value having external water bottle pockets, you dig the look where this is leaning more in the middle of rugged and luxury, where this is definitely leaning more towards luxury, then that's a good reason to go for the Panda Pack instead of the other ones. As mentioned, they're using their in-house Mandarin 840D ballistic nylon everywhere throughout the bag. It's 18 liters, weighs 2.1 pounds, which, considering the fact that it's using really bomb-proof materials everywhere throughout the bag, 2.1 pounds for a bag that has both a main compartment, a dedicated laptop compartment, it has good structure, and it stands on its own at 2.1 pounds, I think is pretty admirable. Obviously, anyone looking for an ultralight bag shouldn't be looking at 840D ballistic nylon to begin with, but something to consider. For the zippers, these are YKK Vislon zippers, which I talk about in the Panda Pack video, something that is not unique to Pioneer Carry, but something that you really don't see in high-end bags. And it just makes sense in a weird way. Vislon zippers have larger, chunkier, jigsaw puzzle looking teeth. And it's a different zipper experience compared to a standard RCD YKK zipper. I really enjoy it. And I think durability wise, these are great because there's less little things that can get caught in the zippers. The zipper heads themselves are super chunky. They've got the Pioneer logo on them and they work fantastic. I'm a really big fan of these zippers. As mentioned, a variety of tech pouches fit in here, but you can also fit like a pretty big mobile battery bank. This is like a laptop charger in here. And then you have one grab handle here on the top. You get a little loop on each side. So if you want to attach a carabiner or something along those lines, you can. You also have a tag where you can put your name and information, things like that, which goes here. I'll just throw it on right now. Super easy, just clip it on. I prefer the look of it without it. And since this is something that I would never check in, which I suspect most people won't, I don't know, I'm not too worried about losing. I've never lost a backpack in my life, but if you like the look of it, then you've got that as well. For the top grab handle, the Panda Pack comes with this included, which I think it's like 10 bucks. Honestly, like I like the look of it and it just makes it softer than just this stiffer woven nylon. I would recommend getting this little snap-on grab handle accessory for it. And then with the back of the bag, you get really good padding. Here, just one thing to keep in mind, they're using the same 840D Mandarin ballistic nylon here. So if you live in a place where it's consistently very hot or you sweat a lot, you're not gonna get the breathability that you get out of something like a traditional mesh back padding. But mesh back padding over time starts to pill usually and just more prone to deterioration, whereas this is gonna last you a long time. You have a super heavy duty piece of nylon webbing in the back for your luggage pass through. I mean, this thing feels super bomb proof. And then the shoulder straps themselves, this was my main nitpick, I would say, on the Panda Pack. And I didn't include it on the duration pack, to come up with something different, but also because this bag is smaller, it weighs 2.1 pounds instead of 2.7 on the Panda Pack. And I just feel like the comfort factor is less of a big deal. I think anyone that opts for this is also carrying more minimally. They aren't carrying as many things as they would on the Panda Pack, where having that additional comfort would be more helpful. Doesn't come with a sternum strap, which I think for a lot of people at this price point would like having the option of a sternum strap. For me, if anything, that would be more valuable for the Panda Pack, but I think for really like 18 liters and below, like the compact EDC backpack category, because I'm usually not carrying that much, I really don't mind not having a sternum strap. But also a little nitpick on the Panda Pack, something that I wish they incorporated here at the price point is the fact that they're not including strap keepers. There is something refreshing, and I feel like this was very much an intentional design decision about them excluding it, because it's just one less thing to worry about, just putting on the backpack and enjoying it without having to do a lot of things. But a strap keeper is something that if you don't care for it, you can very easily remove it. I think given the choice, most people would rather have a strap keeper just to keep things tidy and minimal like the rest of the bag is doing. Moving on to the inside of the bag, just main compartment. Pretty simple. Already talked about the color. You get a zippered mesh compartment here. The mesh is still really nice. They did upgrade it in their Panda Pack 2.0. I suspect they'll be using a mesh like that. It just has a little bit less stretch, but it feels a lot more like high-end and durable. Not that this doesn't feel premium at all. So just a good place to throw wallet, passport, cables, chargers, things like that. Got a sleeve here that you can put folders, tablet. That's where I throw my tablet. And you definitely have like a comfortable amount of space to throw like jacket, whatever other like slightly bulkier essentials that you might want when you're carrying for yourself. But I do find that it's definitely too slim, that unless you're super minimal and you want to use this for like a one nighter, one bagging it, but even still, like at that point, if that's something that you're going to be doing here and there, that's a great reason for you to go to the Panda Pack. And then the dedicated laptop compartment, you have a suspended laptop compartment. You can fit up to a 16-inch laptop here. And then you have essentially like an extra sleeve here that doesn't really has very little padding and protection, but technically you can like do two laptops or laptop, tablet. Me personally, I just put my laptop in the laptop sleeve, and then in the main compartment, I have the tablet sleeve in there. The liner material here, and it's the same on the Panda Pack, but the more I've used it, it still feels premium, it still feels great. I don't mind as much that it's black here, just because like you're really only accessing one thing. You don't really need as much visibility as you would in other areas of the bag. But the liner fabric on the main compartment, as well as these front pockets, they're 3XD, just feels really, really premium. I would have just liked to see that material throughout the laptop compartment as well, especially given the fact that this bag is $315. So I think like little touches like that would complete the full premium look that this bag already does a great job of doing. So final thoughts, if you work in an executive setting or you're a lawyer, just in a type of environment where you want something a little bit more elevated, where something like an Aran alpaca might fall slightly short in terms of a refined look, or a Bellroy might be a little bit too casual, Evergoods, GoRuck, a little bit too utilitarian / tactical, and you want something within kind of like the Toomey, Briggs & Riley family at a more accessible price point, I think this is a fantastic option. Me personally, like nothing against Toomey. I grew up, like my dad was like a big Toomey backpack guy. And there's something like aspirational about like you've made it in life when you can afford your $600, $700 Toomey backpack. But the older I've gotten, the more I appreciate things that don't feel branded, that aren't status symbols, and nothing against it. It's just something that I identify with more. So if you compare this to a Toomey, really depends on the model. There are so many Toomey bags. You don't get leather accents like you do in a lot of their models, and that's important. Well, you can't get that in this bag. But if you don't care about that, you like the utility and the look of these tapered cargo pockets, you value companies that are innovating, creating their own materials, pioneering, hence Pioneer Carry, and you're comfortable spending around $300 knowing that this comes with a limited lifetime warranty. Not to throw shade at Toomey or anything, but Toomey is not made in the US. Most of their bags are made in China, and they come with a 6-year warranty. This is a lifetime warranty. So something to keep in mind as well. If you're interested in learning more about the Panda Pack, which remains my favorite bag, I'll include a link in the description where I do a dedicated review on it. Other than that, best of luck and cheers.